Welcome back in the studio now to talk about various things that's happening here in Brockville. We have the mayor, Matt Wren. Matt, thank you for sitting down with me today.
Always a pleasure, Doreen.
Thank you. Let's talk budget.
Well, the budget is done, thankfully. It's been a long process. We started in November with the hopes of finishing maybe before the end of the year or early in January, but there was some missing pieces of information, and it's such a volatile time in the economy. So we needed a little more time, but we got it finished.
You got it finished.
Yes.
And please tell our viewers first of all, is there an increase?
Well, yes, there's an increase. Okay. There's inflation and costs go up, and there's only one party to pay for those, which is you and I and all of us as taxpayers.
And how much are we talking?
Well, so you probably have seen in the media a few different numbers, and one is the increase to the levy. So the levy is the total cost of operating the city departments and all the external groups that the city funds.
Yes.
So that's about $40 million a year in round figures. Mm-hmm. And that number raised from last year to this year a little over 6.5%. But then your actual tax bill is a better story than that, because we have growth. There's more houses being built. There's more people splitting up the pie or splitting up the bill.
Yes.
And also the education taxes, which are a portion of your bill, are frozen still at the moment, thankfully. So your actual tax bill, when you get the final bill, will be up about 4.9%.
Much better than the 6+. Yeah.
Well, and to take you back a little bit, and we're always reluctant to throw out the starting point number, especially in this economy.
Yes.
But the starting point this year was 12.2%.
Whoa.
And it took a lot of work by staff and members of council and others to get this down to, a number higher than anybody would like. I mean, as I said to you last time, we're all taxpayers too.
Yes.
And it is a number higher than anybody would like. But, when we get down into the 4 range and on your tax bill, and we look at what's happening with other municipalities,
yes,
we're all facing the same issue. And interesting thing, that we're about to have a provincial budget delivered in the next couple of weeks. The federal budget is coming down in mid-April. And I was thinking, after having been through a few now, that it's such a different dynamic, because the feds and the province, the finance minister stands up and tells everybody all the things they're going to spend on and all the programs and so forth. And the complaints are usually, you're not spending enough here, you're not spending enough there,
right,
you're not doing enough for this program or that. It's completely opposite to us, because what the feds and the province don't tell you is what it's going to cost you in your income taxes.
Yes.
And of course, they have many other sources of revenue besides income tax. For us, it's a totally different situation. We tally up the costs of keeping the city of Brockville going and split it out to all of us, and we all know exactly what the impact's going to be. So it's a bit of a different microscope.
It is indeed. So moving away from the budget now, if people want any more information, you can just call the city and talk to.
Well, we maintain a budget page on the city website, and it's still there. Will stay there. So brockville.com/budget, and you can see all the documents, all the reports, all the information.
Okay, let's move on to trees.
Yes, trees.
What's happening to our ash trees?
Well, the ash borer has had a huge impact on Brockville. Staff over the last couple of years have been able to catalog where all the trees are. So visible trees in public space that the city is responsible for. There's 1,500 dead ash trees that have to be removed. We changed the way we look after that service last year. We had relied on contractors before, and they did a great job. But at the cost, the amount that was budgeted, and the cost of using contractors, we were only getting about 30 or 40 trees a year removed. When you've got 1,500, and they become a danger, we got to move faster.
Right.
So staff proposed creating our own internal service within city operations. We purchased a vehicle. We have 2 dedicated staff, and they got started sort of fully in June. They didn't have their truck till September. And so it looks like in a full year, they're going to remove over 200 dead ash trees each year, plus other trimming and things that the city needs to do to look after the rest of the tree canopy.
Yes.
And so what's important for residents to know, though, is, well, we've got them all on a map where all these trees are, and we're monitoring them, and we've prioritized them. So the most serious ones are coming down first. If you see a dead ash tree and we haven't cut it down yet, it means there was one in worse shape somewhere else that we are cutting down, because we're doing this work every day. But if you see something that's changed and we might not see it as fast, please call in and report it to city operations so that staff can go have another look.
Yes.
Because we need everybody's help to sort of monitor the situation. And I had neighbors of mine called after a windstorm. All of a sudden the roots are pulling out of the ground.
Right. Yeah.
And it overnight became a more serious situation. And after touching base with staff, they removed the tree the same day.
Good.
So we'll move fast if we have to.
Well, the weather has quite an effect on our trees, and we can be on every street every day. So
next thing I want to work on now that budget's done is, of course, we have to do a better job of replacing the trees that we're losing. And so there's a couple of programs out there that would be able to help the city move a little faster on tree planting, and looking forward to introducing council to a couple of things I've come upon to see if we can take part in some more national programs.
Good.
So
good.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
Maybe next time.
Next time we talk. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about. There was a meeting last night about the Woolworth building.
Yes.
And the Caber Group. So what was the end result? What actually came out of that?
Well, last night was what's called a public planning meeting. And so how the process works when somebody wants to do something with a property where they need to ask for an amendment to the zoning bylaw or the official plan,
yes,
they have to make an application, and it's a public process. And the very first part in that, well, the first part's notifying all the affected people within a certain radius and advertising that we're doing it, so we're fully transparent. But the first people who get to speak about the application are members of the public. And so last night that took place, and if anybody watched, you'll notice the elected officials in the room didn't have anything to say, and that's the way it should be. We're there to hear from the public. Okay. And so on this particular item, what they're asking for, the height requirement in the zoning bylaw and official plan for King Street is 6 stories.
Yes.
They're asking to go a little higher than that, to go to 9.
9.
But when you look at the plan, that doesn't mean like 9 straight up like the boardwalk down on the waterfront, which is 9 stories, but it goes all the way up from the ground to the top 9 stories, or more or less does. This is a stepped back approach. So the building proposed goes up 3 floors, steps back, and at that step back there's an outdoor terrace and plantings and greenery and so forth. Up another 3 floors, step back again. So those top 3 floors, I believe, are only something like maybe 15, 18 units compared to about 40 some units on the lower floors. So that top 3 floors is proposed to be a much smaller footprint. So it won't be one big straight tower that this group has proposed. That's one ask that they have. The second main thing is parking. But anytime there's an application downtown, because we're confined, and in this particular case, the Woolworths building always sat there with 0 parking other than street parking. So you could expect that there would be an ask for a reduction of parking. So we heard from the public last night, and height was mentioned and parking was, I'd say, referenced. The thing that most are concerned about, and I understand why, is the only vehicular access to that property is a little street that nobody really knows about called Victoria Lane, which runs off Victoria Avenue just up from City Hall. It's a single lane from the street, back in.
So it goes west, right?
Goes west, and it terminates basically at the back of the Woolworths building. And that's the only way in. We can't really create an entrance off of King Street, because you can imagine people leaving the building having to turn onto King Street. Well, you definitely couldn't turn left very easily. It's probably not feasible to consider that sort of a thing. So they've proposed that there be a parking garage that you'll access from Victoria Lane. And so that'll mean more cars coming and going. But I mean, this property from time immemorial has said access to that lane, so we couldn't cut off one property owner from using it and others. So that being said, though, it's been identified as problematic.
Okay.
I understand that concern, and I think members of council do. So the next step in the process is, we've heard from the public, and staff will be comparing their application to all the policies we work under and taking into consideration the public feedback. The applicants also taking into consideration that feedback. They may come back and say, hey, we heard what people said and we propose to do something different.
Yes.
And then the next part of the journey is that there'll be a report to the Planning and Development Committee, where staff will recommend to council what to do with this, how to handle it,
Right.
what of their asks are reasonable, what are not. And then the debate begins at the council table as to where we go from here.
Okay. Well, thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
That's very helpful.
People are still welcome to reach out, even though the public meeting happened. You can still contact us, share your thoughts and concerns. I will say, though, that there were some people there concerned last night. That's to be expected.
Yeah, of course.
And they were heard.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, in the community, there's a great deal of positivity towards, this building is sat that way, boarded up
Unfortunately, yes.
for 30 years.
That's sad.
And the only possible option that's come along in 30 years was to turn it into a self-storage building. That's not going to do too much for our economy downtown.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can figure out a way to make this work, get more people living downtown, get more retail space, and certainly drastically improve the way things look on our main street.
Let's hope. Let's hope. One other thing that I wanted to address was the negative social media. The city is, I think council had asked the, I don't know which department, but department to go back and come up with a statement, a user statement. Has that been done yet?
Well, actually, it started the other way. Staff have asked for this to happen. This isn't driven by the elected body.
Okay.
I use social media to share information with the public. Sometimes people use social media to touch base with me rather than email. But I took to heart the way that Mayor Baker's municipal career ended, which he admitted was the result of all the tremendous criticism, I guess, he dealt with on social media.
Yes.
And I've tried for my own, mental health and peace of mind to just steer clear.
Yes.
If someone needs to talk to me or share their opinion, there's lots of ways for them
They'll find
to
you.
reach me.
Yes.
But, staff have noticed that it's gotten kind of personal on some of these commenting sites towards members of city staff. And as an employer, the city has an obligation to provide a safe workplace free from harassment, bullying, all that sort of thing. And so we've seen other municipalities say something about the impact of this on their people. And staff have asked council if we would consider making a statement. I mean, we're not going to be the Facebook police. There's nothing we can do about people. No. I mean, I guess there's things you can do if it escalates in certain ways. But it's just a matter of, as community leaders, something needs to be said. And, at the same time as this was working its way through our meeting schedule, the mayor of Gatineau resigned over receiving death threats. And I noticed MPP Lisa MacLeod has endured a tremendous amount of difficulty and has become quite a champion on this topic. I heard another politician who assumed this was about the elected body. Didn't realize this was not about the elected body, but that other politician said, well, we signed up for this. Well, I hope he's reading MPP Lisa MacLeod's information on what it's done to her and others she's close to. It's you wonder why people aren't stepping forward to participate in our elections and so forth. And I wasn't sure how much of it had to do with social media, but more I've been in this seat, I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's unfortunate.
Yes, but again, I don't want to turn this to the elected folks.
No.
We want to just make sure our staff have a positive environment to work in as much as we can provide that for them. And if they're asking for this, we're going to listen.
Okay. Thank you ever so much for sitting down with me, and thank you for your candid answers.
Always a pleasure.
Okay. Till we will sit down again
we'll talk
very
about
soon. I
talk
hope.
about some more trees, but putting
We'll talk about
putting
more
them up rather than
trees.
taking them
Yes,
down.
You got it.